Hey guys, what's going on? So today I want to show you a handy tool that you can use in Snapseed to convert your photos to black and white. So um, we talked about the Tune Image tool a few weeks ago, and there is a saturation slider which we discussed. And I think I mentioned that at one point, if you slide this thing all the way down to -100, you get a black and white photo. And that is true. However, this is not the best way to do it because we don't really have any options when we do this. It is what it is, okay? So let me show you a more powerful way to make this happen. All right, so I'm gonna go into the tools and I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. In the center column here, you'll see black and white. So if you click on that, here we have a much more powerful tool for doing this conversion. All right, so now a word of warning, this thing defaults to something that is not really ideal, okay? So when you first come into the black and white tool, you're gonna see the these little presets down at the bottom: neutral, contrast, bright, dark, film, dark, and sky. Okay, what you want to do is you want to click on neutral. Okay, what happens is the contrast, it boosts the contrast as well as makes the photo black and white, but you guys already know how to control contrast, and you know how to use a much better tool for that. That would of course be the curves. So we're going to skip the sort of the add-on, the extra there, and we're just going to go straight for just the thing we actually want in here, which is the black and white conversion itself. Okay, so what's actually happening here, if you scroll up and down, you'll see that there are some tools in here: brightness, contrast, and grain. All right, so if I pull this thing back up and I click on the default one, which is contrast, you'll see that contrast is actually set to +30 by default. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so just to turn that off, I'm going to just hit neutral. All right, so as soon as you come in here, just tap neutral and you'll be good. Okay, so now let me get over to the tool that I actually want, which is the color filters. Okay, so I'm going to click this circular icon at the bottom here, and you'll see these different colors pop up. Basically what's going on here is this comes from the olden days of film, when people would shoot black and white film, and you could actually take a colored piece of glass and stick it on your lens, and it would affect how different colors out in the world that you were photographing would be sort of translated into black and white. So let me show you exactly what's happening here. So we have neutral, which is probably actually the same as just cranking that saturation slider all the way down to 0 in the Tune Image tool. So, you know, it's an option. You can check it out. But we have some other ones as well. So we have red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. So let's take a look here. Now I have a color wheel opened up because this is probably the easiest way to sort of illustrate what's going on with these different filters. So let me go to the red one. And you can see the color wheel is a standard color wheel, except that I've labeled all of the colors so that when it becomes black and white, you can still tell what's what. Okay, so if I'm on the red filter, actually the yellow filter is a better one to illustrate this. So if I'm on the yellow filter, you can see that the yellow colors in the image become the brightest. Okay, the colors opposite yellow, blue, become the darkest, and then it sort of fades as you go around. Okay, so right next to yellow we have green and red on either side, and they're like a little bit darker than yellow. They're kind of a light gray. And then we go next, you know, further around the wheel, that would be magenta and cyan. They're kind of a darker gray, and then we get all the way around to the exact opposite color, which would be blue, and that's like pretty much gone pure black. Okay, now this won't be quite as intense usually in a photograph, an actual real world situation, but these colors are like the most vibrant, intense versions of these colors available. And I've got that in here just so that what exactly is going on kind of shows up in a real obvious way. Okay, so if I click on a different one, you can see, say, green. Okay, well now green is the lightest, and the opposite, which is magenta, is the darkest. Blue, okay, so it just kind of follows around the color wheel, whatever color I pick down here from these color filter options. All right, so now let me switch over to a real photo because that's always helpful here. Okay, so I got this photo. It's got some colors. We got green in the background. We got a yellow shirt on Josh. We got a blue shirt on Jack. We've got their skin and their hair, stuff like that. We've got the little playground. So it's got a variety of colors, so that's good. So what I'm going to do, and let me point this out. Now, this image has already been edited, but you'll still kind of get the idea here, I think. I'm going to suggest to you, just so that you don't lose any detail, I'm going to suggest that you actually do the black and white before you get into your tone curve. Okay, so just in case things, one of the filters that you like, but maybe it's just a little too strong, which can happen. So remember to switch to neutral. That's a really important thing. You can see on this photo here how huge of a difference it makes when I switch from contrast to neutral. Okay, so now let me get into red. Let me actually switch that back to contrast mode, the default. If I forgot to switch that and I go over here into red, you see what's going on here on their faces. It's like, oops, I just messed with the brightness. It's not doing good things. Their skin is like way overexposed. Okay, so let me just come out of it to reset everything here. And so step one, click on neutral. Step two, now I can sort of more safely choose a color. And you can see, it depends on what your photo is or what's in your photo. Some of these colors are gonna look terrible, okay? And some of them are gonna look pretty nice. So you can see it really has a major effect on your options here. You know, red, orange, and yellow, in a lot of situations, they're probably gonna be fairly similar, but then you get into green and blue and it really changes things up, okay? So, you know, and this is just like any other photo editing tool. You just kind of click on stuff and look at your photo and see what you like, okay? So do this first, then once you like it, then come in and adjust your curves. Okay, you may find what may happen is that things may kind of the histogram in here may look a little bit different. Okay, so it's a little safer to do that conversion first and then come in here. If you do this first, it may kind of go a little too far. You may get some overexposure or underexposure that you didn't necessarily want. If you do the tone curve first, okay? So do this first. Sorry, do the color, the black and white filter first, and then come into your tone curve. All right. So for this one, I am just going to sort of darken, maybe down just a hair, but let me bring it back up here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it's got good contrast, but I think I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so great. So now I'm ready to export. So just to recap, key things: make sure you turn that contrast mode off, switch it to neutral when you first go into black and white, pick your color, and then set your tone curve, your black and white points, and overall brightness and contrast in tone curve. And that's it. All right, so have fun with it.